So what problem made you start training with David? So before training with David, I guess I'd got to a point, a sort of 10-year process really of getting less healthy, putting on weight, doing fewer activities, and I'm in my mid-40s now, and I've got 3 children, 2 older children in their teens, and I was always very, very active with them when they were younger, in all sorts of things as you'd expect. I also have a 4-year-old, and I was realizing as I was doing things with him, I just don't have the same energy levels, or I didn't have the same energy levels, or ability to just get stuck in like I did before, and that wasn't good. So that was really the catalyst for getting started. So how did you feel physically and mentally when you started? So at the point of starting, not in a great place. Health-wise, pretty low, both in terms of energy levels, feeling not great in myself, mentally really off, tough few years outside of various different things, and this was a really good chance to kind of start carving out some time for myself, which I did. What was your diet, training and lifestyle like before eating? My diet wasn't bad, but I didn't really give it any consideration in terms of what I was putting in, so very few vegetables and fruit, in fairness, quite high meat orientated, but also a lot of fats, salt, sugars, never one for snacks or anything like that, but just big dinners, lots of bread, lots of evening snacks, lots of things later on, that sort of thing. I train once a week, boxing, so I did that, and take the dog for a walk, but that was all beforehand. So how did your diet, training and lifestyle change when you started? Yeah, massively. So I started to train 3-4 times a week, so 2 sessions in the gym, 1 session at home, and boxing once a week, plus some yoga just to get a bit of flexibility. I later added a 4th session at the gym on the weekend, and the rigor around the food I really enjoyed. More, it was actually just the education around how the food works, and how to break it down to make my own choices of what would fit within a week, and it was great. I really, really enjoyed it, and it made a big difference, and a real clarity around what I was doing each day, each week was something I hadn't really had for a long time, and I really enjoyed it. So what effect did this have on your health, performance, lifestyle and energy inside and outside the gym? Yeah, as I say, the clarity, now I do have a more structured life around it. It's proved that I can get away from the house, I can get away from the office to get the training in and to get some really good habits back into my lifestyle, and eating vegetables and all the things. There's loads of nice things to eat with all the food, but actually just getting a better base around vegetables, fruit and all the good things to complement all the other side of it. It's been great, and I feel so much better for it. It's been a game changer all round on a number of levels. What was my favourite part of the dieting? So actually, it was actually exploring fruit, vegetables, different ways of eating, but rarely being hungry. So it was always eating plenty, just eating more of the right things. And I've always been a big fan of eating proteins and meat, chicken, so the thought of eating quite a lot of that always worked with me anyway. And it was also then looking into the nuances of eating venison meatballs and steaks rather than other things, just looking at how things worked, or turkey bacon rather than normal bacon, the huge difference it makes. And it doesn't mean you can't eat the other stuff, but you can make choices then and realise that one is massively different in terms of the outcome than the other. So learned a lot from it, and that will carry on with me now. What was my favourite part of the training? Probably my favourite part of the training was being in the gym. So actually, and knowing what to do. The precision around the advice on every movement, every exercise, every part of it was fascinating to understand the difference. I kind of feel like I've been tapped into a secret that most other people in the gym don't have, seen them train differently, and I feel like I've got a path that's really clear and had a much, much quicker impact than I can see on those around me. So I've been really grateful for that. So thoroughly enjoyed the training at the gym. What were your results? How much weight loss, time frame, how did it feel? So in total, I've been working with David for 4 months. That did factor in 2 weeks of Christmas, which was pretty much I did the training, but ate and drank everything you'd expect over a Christmas period. But still, over that 4 months, I lost 14 kilograms. And it's been a big change, huge change. Energy levels, my waist circumference around my belly button's gone in by about 24 centimeters, and just feel fitter and better. Clothes that haven't fitted me since I was in my 30s or early 30s and now fit again. And so dropping from 89 kilograms to 75 kilograms. Been a game changer, absolutely huge. Where and how have you seen your body change the most? Without doubt, my stomach is the biggest thing. I was getting to a proper kind of mid-40s big belly at one point, and now that's gone completely. And I can actually see my six-pack and everything else. So that's been the biggest thing. And then the definition around my back, shoulders, that side of it's been a really nice add-on to that. So that I've really liked it from aesthetic point of view. But the biggest thing has just been my stomach. It's so much smaller. Major change. How did you find the training and nutrition? I enjoyed the training, really enjoyed it. The way in which David teaches you to train is really interesting and very precise. progress. So it's about having the biggest impact in every single training session, which he'll go into detail with anyone that's doing this. And so you come away from the gym after maybe somewhere between 40 and 50 minutes in most cases, but not kind of sweating buckets. Actually, you kind of go in with a real precision on all the key muscle groups ache. But actually what was nice, the next day, apart from the first couple of times as my body's adjusting, outside of that, I've had no aches and pains and I feel better for it, because I think the pattern that David puts together is so well balanced. It draws you back in, so it's pulling the back into a better place. My posture feels better, I feel better structured, so actually I don't have any of those kind of aches and pains or groans that you might associate with going to the gym and lifting heavy weights. I feel far better for it, I feel more agile and I feel more upright for it, so that's been huge. And the nutrition piece has been brilliant, even for things like gut health and everything, just feel much better. I can eat far more wider variety of food now, and generally just feel like it's giving me the energy I need rather than just filling myself up. So yeah, game changer on all those things. Can you tell me about the point when you realised your plan was actually helping you solve the problem? Probably I realised it was the new plan was solving the problem within probably 2 or 3 weeks. I started to see some really early results very quickly, both around my stomach loss from the kind of early shift in my diet, and then the gym really started to have an impact really early on. So I'd say probably within 3 or 4 weeks I was getting really excited, thinking I'm only 3 weeks into this and I can already see the impact, and it's only going to go one way. So yeah, I was really pleased. And then at the very end, when you get to that point of that losing that last kind of element of body fat percentage, you really notice the difference. That point where you feel really good, but actually then that last kind of extra kilogram or two is the difference of sort of not seeing a six-pack to suddenly having a six-pack. And it's amazing, and you see the sort of difference almost every other day. So that bit was really nice as well. How has doing this transformation changed you? In terms of how this transformation has changed me, this is a long-term thing for me now. So I don't see it as a quick fix, a one-off thing. It's been habitually changing. So I'll retain 90% of the things I've been doing and just make minor adjustments to start building things back in, as suggested with working with David on this. So this isn't a kind of a fad or anything else like that. It's a new lifestyle that he's created, and he's given me the knowledge. So not just a plan, but I've now have the knowledge to go off and do it as well. So how I use the gym, how I eat, how I train, balancing things during the day, I can make good choices and know when to do more, and then how to find myself back again. So it's been really good in that respect, it's changed me for the better and for the long term. Do you think this transformation will benefit you moving forward? Yeah, the transformation will absolutely benefit me moving forward on a number of levels. So energy levels, how I eat, how I buy food, how I train, how I make time for myself. It's been a huge lifestyle change, and one that I'm not coming back from. So yeah, this is the way it's going to be from now on. In what ways has David met or exceeded your expectations? I have to say, David's been fantastic. He came highly recommended from someone I know and trust really well, and I'd seen the results they'd gone through. But there's always that element of, you don't know, it's a big commitment. You're tying yourself into someone for 3, 4, 5 months potentially. And but I could not be happy with the process. One, he's a really decent individual. He's a good human being, a lovely guy, very thoughtful, funny, witty, but direct, and exactly the right balance you want from this side of it. And you always feel like he's there. So if you need any information or anything, his the weekly catch-ups are priceless in terms of looking at the videos, the training videos, looking at the minor correction of an arm being here rather than here, or an elbow dropping to here. Subtle differences that make a big difference in training, which again I feel really grateful to be able to go into the gym with now, that I know are effective. It means I'm getting the absolute best out of every push and every exercise. So, and his knowledge around nutrition, even the week before, we had peak week before building up to having the photos, which I'd highly recommend to anyone. Great experience, even for someone as pale as me. It was really good experience, and just the meticulous detail around what I needed to eat, how I needed to eat it, and the impact. And he was bang on. So even though I was eating a lot, on the day of my shoot, I was the lightest I'd been, the fittest I'd been, and the best condition I'd been in. So yeah, trust in David. He's definitely someone to work with, and he's absolutely exceeded my expectations, and I couldn't recommend him highly enough.